Boom, we're back, and I'm here to take over Xtreme Couture, the home to the legendary UFC champion, Randy Couture. Randy Couture! For my mission to be a success, I will have to go up against the black belt instructor. But before I can go up against the final boss, I'd have to take out some NPCs. And as a spoiler alert, this was all no-gi, so I have no idea what anyone's rank was. My first opponent comes barreling in, fresh off of some pre-workout.
This guy looks like what Tyler thinks he looks like.
Even though my cameraman has no faith in me, we're doing positional sparring, so I get to start a mount. But that's nothing a little bench press can't solve, as he pushes against my hips and now we return to standing. Now here's a secret for you. This recording took place after my injury, so hopefully you can all forgive me for not wanting to wrestle with this guy. He starts off by playing a really smart game. He's pushing my legs down and walking right into side control, but I lock up the guillotine. This is when I can still guillotine him even when I'm in bottom side control. I'm not worried about getting von flued, and I get the tap from my opponent. But if you're like this guy who has no idea how I pulled that off, go watch this guillotine video. But you want to know what his reward is for getting out of mount and then getting choked? That's right, he gets to start and mount all over again. But it doesn't seem to be too much of an issue because that size is certainly hard to hold down. I even try and use the magic art of wrestling by going for a 3/4 Nelson to break him down, but you try holding down a bear and tell me how that works. I have a little bit more success using the front head to break his posture, but then he gets smart and he breaks my hands around his chin, so I sprawl on the head to maintain top control. Then I immediately lose that, thinking I was going to elevator sweep him. He was doing a wonderful job letting me know he was much larger and stronger. He was pinching my hips so tight together that there's no way I was going to be able to use my legs to elevate him. And I'm able to work up to my hands and use them as posts so I can try and look for a guillotine. But one of the instructors came by and told me basically just to give a mount, then to try and work out from there.
Big boy, bro, all we can do is put his face to the mat and get our knees back. I know it's easier said than done, but let's work something, yeah?
Who are you talking to right now?
Get those underhooks. The more you wait, the worse it gets, because he's going to climb up you, and that's not fun.
My secret is that I never roll hard. But when I have an instructor watching me, I have to go a little bit harder.
Get that underhook, there we go. Good work. Nice, bro. Nice. Tap, tap, tap. That's how you do that, ladies and gentlemen.
That actually was some pretty good advice from the coach because most people will sit in bad positions for far too long versus just trying to work out of them. It was finally my turn to start on bottom and mount, but I can't tell if the coach had it out for him. And I say that because he had a lot less time on top compared to me. I escaped from his mount by doing some pretty fundamental things. First, I'm framing against his hip so I can have the inside position and leverage his weight, and I also was able to push his arm away from me, reducing his total weight on top. Then I made another frame using my left knee. I was able to push against his hip, which made enough space for me to go all the way into half guard, and now I was in a safe position. Other than I still had this really heavy dude on top of me. But by maintaining strong inside control, he never put me in any danger, and I was able to make it to the end of the round. Round 2 was against a much smaller guy, but he still was going to try and smash me. But the way he's carrying his weight is all incorrect because I'm able to post against the mat and I can walk backwards until I can go towards front head. My opponent tries to grab my leg, but this is a huge issue because it gives me the underhook. If they already control your neck and they get the underhook, now they're going to throw you into the cow catcher for the submission, otherwise known as the one-handed guillotine. I would love to lie to everybody and tell them that I got a great workout from this round, but truthfully it was a slaughter. But no matter what happened, he kept coming at me the entire time. Even if he kept losing, he had a great mindset to learn, and if he keeps with the sport, I'm sure he'll do really well. Now for the final opponent I had before going into the black belt match, I actually went up against a kid who really surprised me. I was watching his motion right before our round, and he was actually tapping out brown belts. Not only that, he said he competes a lot and he did the ADCC Open. He clearly has a very bright future in jiu-jitsu, but that's why I'm here. I'm going to crush his hopes and dreams during this round and remind him, I'm not like that brown belt. I'm coming for the gym. It all starts with me going for a guillotine, but we can see that my legs are in completely random positions. There's no squeezing going on with this grip, so I have to bail on the choke and use this to get to a better position. If you're in the front head but you're scared of getting choked, just go to guard. As long as you don't get extended and pulled to your stomach, it shouldn't be that hard of a transition. I used it to go to the butterfly guard, and this is going to work out really well for me. One of my favorite ways to get on top is to do this technical stand-up. I'm making sure to kick my leg free so he doesn't maintain control over it, but I also want to post against his neck so I can redirect him anytime I need to. I use this to snap him into my guillotine choke, so instead of going towards the direct front head, I put him right into a submission. Now he has the right answer to defend it, which is rolling into mount. Unfortunately, he's a little bit too small, so once he rolls all the way through, I catch him here and he's not able to roll anymore. A bigger opponent's able to keep rolling you into free the neck during the transitions, but he has to tap. He starts the next round a little bit spicier by going for a bolo, but this isn't my first time defending one of these, so I know where to put my legs and how to attack him to protect myself. By constantly working out towards the back door and then posting up, I have a better position where I can start to attack his legs. He again is trying to invert looking for the same bolo, but I keep good control over his foot, and I can use this to pull myself on the top in half guard. He tries to close the distance by coming into me, but he gives me the same front head position, which I can use to return him back to the mat. Now, I don't know what it was, if I was feeling extremely evil this day because it was my birthday, but I'm actually trying to go for a wrist lock on a child.
Oh, I see. We're playing prison rules, huh?
He makes a strange move by then bringing his leg up and giving me an easy leg lock entry. I initially start with the knee bar because it's a safe submission with no turning, but the way he was defending completely exposed his heel, so I went for a light heel hook to get the tap. Now, heel hooking children isn't my main activity that I do for fun.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
But trust me when I say that this guy is actually better than a lot of purple belts that I've rolled with. He was defending guillotines the right way, using advanced guards like deep half, and he wasn't quitting despite being under immense pressure. Great job by this guy, but now it's time for the final boss. We get into the last match of the night as I'm going up against the head black belt. If I can beat him, I'm basically the new owner of this gym. The round starts off slow as we're both feeling each other out and I don't feel like blowing my knee out in wrestling. But I find a small opening for my feet so I can elevate him and start setting him into my guard. He wasn't about to make that easy for me as he started pinching his hips together, so he was crushing my guard and I wasn't able to move nearly as much as I wanted to. Noticing that I was far too stretched out, I used my left underhook to go over his shoulder. Then I let go of his post so I could establish a strong shoulder clamp. From here I was able to go back to the butterfly and I'm looking to use a Sumigaishi sweep to sweep him over, but he kicks his legs back just enough that he can create a strong base and I have to transition to a body lock. I'm not able to get much done here because he has his left arm under my leg, which is going to help him a lot because he pushes me down towards my side so he can use an over-under pass. But as he continues to try and drive into me, I use my superior strength to grab onto an underhook to protect myself. But do you remember from earlier where I pushed their head away to get on top? Well, in case you thought I was lying, I used the exact same technique to get on top of him, fall into a guillotine from the front head, pull him over into mount, then force him to tap for my guillotine choke. My magical hands have claimed another victim other than my fiance, but the true test was still ahead. We all know it doesn't count if you tap them one time because they're going to go harder the second time around. So let's see if I can repeat that same result. This time he's putting a lot more pressure on me from the half guard, so as I try and make space, he's going to cover me the entire time. I try and hit a really quick steering wheel sweep on him, but he does a good job regaining his balance and actually shoves me all the way into butterfly guard, which works out really well for me. He has his head in my chest, so all I have to do is snap it down so I can lock up another grip over his chin. It's not too threatening at this point, but then I bring my second hand in so I can lock under his chin and I can turn him to his side. Now I have a full guillotine again from side control and I can switch off into the same cow catcher from before. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get it done and I have to let go of this choke. I have a pretty strong position on my opponent's back, but I'm not huge on back control. I would rather go to the front, then use my wrestling knowledge to extend him out, then lock up the far wrist for total control. From here I have time to decide how I'd like to attack, and he gives me an opening by bringing his neck a little bit too high, which allows me to rotate towards the front and pull him into another guillotine all the way into mount. He's using his hands to hand fight, so I'm pressing my hips against his hands to push them down, then I can pull up on the choke to get the final submission. I had a great time rolling with him as well as with everybody else at the gym, but Xtreme Couture, I'll be looking for the title to the gym in the mail.